I'm Sarah and I just turned 28 today. I woke up hoping for a simple text from my family, something to make the day feel special. Instead, I opened Facebook and got slapped with photos of my entire family at a surprise party for my sister Belle last night. The caption cut deep, "The only one who deserves celebrating." My stomach twisted, but I typed, "Nice cake." Mom's reply was quick and sharp, "At least someone is worth baking for." I forced a smile, my fingers hovering over the keyboard before I responded, "Enjoy it while you can." That moment stung, but it wasn't new. It was just another chapter in a story I've lived my whole life. Before I dive deeper, tell me where you're reading from. If you've ever felt like you're fading into the background of your own family, hit that like and follow. Trust me, what happened next will show you how I started taking back my power. This isn't just about a missed birthday. It's about years of being invisible and learning to shine anyway. That Facebook post wasn't a one-off. It's the soundtrack of my life. Growing up, our family had clear roles. I was the responsible one, always holding things together, while Belle, 3 years younger, was the golden child. She got applause for the smallest things like tying her shoes, while my achievements, good grades, debate wins, you name it, barely got a nod. It's like I was born with an instruction manual that said, "Sarah, handle everything, expect nothing." The pattern started young and never stopped. Every time I thought I'd earned a moment in the spotlight, Belle's shadow swallowed it whole. I'll never forget my 10th birthday. I wanted something simple, just a few friends, pizza, and games in our backyard. Nothing fancy, just a day to feel special. But the day before, Belle announced she wanted to join a local dance class. Suddenly, my birthday budget was redirected to her registration fees. "We'll celebrate next weekend," Mom said, her voice distracted as she filled out the forms. I nodded, hiding my disappointment, but that next weekend never came. I spent my birthday watching Belle twirl in her new dance shoes, my pizza party forgotten. It was my first lesson in being overlooked. When our parents divorced, I was 12 and Belle was 9. The split hit our family like a hurricane, scattering emotional debris everywhere. Dad moved across town, promising weekend visits that dwindled to monthly, then quarterly, then just awkward holiday drop-ins. Mom sank into a depression, barely getting out of bed some days. I stepped up, cooking dinners, helping Belle with homework, and leaving bills on the counter so Mom wouldn't forget them. I was a kid, but I felt like the adult. Meanwhile, Belle got all the attention, her tantrums treated like delicate cries for help. I just kept going. Belle reacted to the divorce differently. She skipped school, slammed doors, and screamed that the divorce was somehow my fault. I'd hear her yelling, "Sarah ruined everything," and Mom would rush to her side, soothing her with hugs and promises. Instead of discipline, Belle got gifts, new clothes, toys, anything to calm her down. When I asked why she got a pass, Mom would say, "Your sister's sensitive, Sarah. You're strong. You can handle things." I wanted to scream that I was just a kid too, but I swallowed it. Being strong became my job, like it or not. 97 words. By 16, I was killing it, 4.0 GPA. Captain of the debate team, and working weekends at the local grocery store to save for college. I made National Honor Society a big deal for me. But my induction ceremony landed on the same day as Belle's junior high soccer game. Guess who showed up for me? No one. That night, they came home with ice cream to celebrate Belle's single goal in a game they lost. I called Dad to share my news and he said, "We're proud of you, Sarah, but Belle needs the encouragement more." That phone call with Dad broke something in me. "Proud of you, but," always came with a catch. I was tired of being the "but" in their sentences. College became my escape plan. I earned a partial scholarship and worked 2 jobs to cover the rest, waitressing at a diner and tutoring kids after class. I built a life outside their orbit, one where my efforts mattered. But even then, Mom's weekly calls always circled back to Belle's latest drama, her breakups, her failed auditions, her endless search for purpose. When Belle graduated high school with a C average, they threw her a party that cost more than my first semester's textbooks. Streamers, catering, the works, like she'd won a Nobel Prize. I was happy when she enrolled in community college, thinking maybe some structure would help her grow. But 6 months later, she dropped out, claiming it was too stressful. I wasn't surprised, but it hurt to see them rally around her again, no questions asked. My graduation? A quick phone call and a "Good job, Sarah." After college, I landed an entry-level marketing job. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid for a tiny apartment and chipped away at my student loans. Then Belle called, needing first and last month's rent for her new place. Just until I find my passion, she said, her voice light like it was no big deal. Against my better judgment, I sent the money. Mom called to thank me, saying, "It's nice to see you finally helping your sister." I bit my tongue, wondering when anyone would notice I'd been helping all along. Here's what they didn't know. I kept helping Belle even when I shouldn't have. For 2 years, I've covered 40% of her rent. It started when her landlord called, saying she was 3 months behind and facing eviction. I couldn't let her crash, so I set up automatic payments. I never told Mom or Dad, and Belle never thanked me. It's like I'm wired to fix things even when it drains me. But that birthday post on Facebook? It was the final straw. I was done being invisible. That night, after seeing the Facebook post, I sat on my couch staring at my phone. I could have called Mom, demanded an explanation, but what was the point? They'd just defend Belle like always. Instead, I made a choice. I stopped the automatic payments to Belle's landlord. Felt like cutting a chain. I wasn't angry, just tired. Tired of carrying everyone else's weight while mine went unnoticed. For the first time, I asked myself what I deserved. The answer? A life where I wasn't an afterthought. The next day I started small. I blocked Mom and Belle on social media. Not out of spite, but to protect my peace. I called a friend and planned a belated birthday dinner, just us, with pizza and laughter like I wanted when I was 10. Felt good to choose myself. I also started therapy, something I'd put off for years. Talking about my family out loud helped me see the patterns clearly. I wasn't just strong, I was human, and I deserved to be seen too. 84 words. Now I'm rebuilding. I set boundaries, like not answering Belle's calls unless she respects my time. I'm saving for a trip I've always wanted to take. Maybe Paris, maybe just a beach somewhere. It's for me, not anyone else. My family hasn't changed, but I have. I'm learning to celebrate my own wins, big or small, without waiting for their applause. If you've ever felt invisible, know this. You can rewrite your story. Start small, but start. Your voice matters, and so do you. I sat quietly at family gatherings, listening to Belle complain about barely making rent. Her voice carried that familiar dramatic edge, and I just nodded, keeping my thoughts to myself. Last Christmas, she stood up, glass raised, announcing a promotion at the boutique where she worked part-time. The room erupted in cheers, toasting her success. Later, I overheard her whispering to Mom in the kitchen. She'd been fired weeks earlier but didn't want to dampen the holiday spirit. I didn't mention the money I'd sent when she texted me, frantic, claiming her heat was about to be shut off. I just wired it, no questions asked. My 27th birthday came and went with a single text from Mom. "Happy birthday. Taking Belle shopping for job interviews. Call you later." The call never came. I spent the evening alone, treating myself to takeout and a movie, trying to convince myself it didn't matter. But the quiet stung more than I'd admit. I scrolled through my phone, hoping for a late message, but found nothing. Just me, my fried rice, and a Netflix queue. A month ago, Dad called, his voice hushed with excitement. He asked if I could pitch in for a special family surprise. He wouldn't spill the details, only said everyone was pulling together for something important. I assumed it was for Mom's 60th birthday, a milestone worth celebrating. I sent $500 without hesitation, even marked my calendar to ensure I'd be free for whatever they planned. I pictured a big family dinner, maybe a cake with too many candles, and Mom's embarrassed laugh as we sang off-key. Then I opened Facebook. My stomach dropped as I saw the photos, 27 of them posted by my cousin Amber. The special surprise wasn't for Mom. It was a lavish party for Belle, thrown the night before my birthday. The timestamp glared at me, 11:30 p.m. The celebration was in full swing as my birthday crept closer, unnoticed. This morning, my 28th birthday began at 6:30 a.m., same as any workday. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, letting myself hope today might feel different. Maybe Mom would text. Maybe Dad would call. Maybe Belle, prompted by a Facebook reminder, would send a quick, "Happy birthday." I checked my phone, 3 notifications. My boss wished me well and mentioned a card on my desk. My college roommate, who never forgets, sent a heartfelt message. My dentist's automated system reminded me of a cleaning next week. Nothing from family. "It's still early," I muttered, dragging myself through my morning routine. I showered, dressed, and headed to work, trying to shake the disappointment. At the office, my Instagram pinged with birthday wishes from acquaintances, kind but not the ones I craved. Still no word from my family. I threw myself into emails and spreadsheets, telling myself I was too old to care about birthdays. I'm 28, not 8. They're just another day, right? But at lunch I gave in and checked Facebook again. That's when Amber's photos hit me like a punch. Surprise party for the one and only Belle. Family is everything, her caption read. I scrolled, each image twisting the knife a little deeper. There was Mom, beaming brighter than I'd seen in years, carrying a 3-tier cake with "Belle is our star" written in elegant script. Dad, who'd sworn he was swamped with work and couldn't visit, had his arm around Belle as she opened a small velvet box. Her face lit up, pulling out what looked like diamond earrings, sparkling under the party lights. Aunt Judith was there too, despite claiming travel was too hard when she skipped my college graduation. Uncle Pete and his wife, who I hadn't seen in 2 years, posed for selfies. Even Grandma, who needs help walking, made the trip, smiling wide in her wheelchair. The party was at Mom's house, my childhood home. The same place where I'd celebrated birthdays with grocery store cakes and practical gifts like notebooks and pencils. I'd spent a summer painting that kitchen, sweat dripping as I rolled on fresh white paint. I'd fixed the bathroom faucet during college breaks because plumbers are too expensive. Now that same house was decked out for Belle. Balloons in her favorite shade of purple floated everywhere. A table groaned under a pile of wrapped gifts. A banner stretched across the fireplace, where my academic awards once hung before being tucked into a drawer to declutter. It read, "We're so proud of you." The final photo was the worst. Belle and Mom clinking champagne glasses, grinning like they'd won the lottery. The caption gutted me, "Celebrating the only one who deserves it. So proud of our girl for landing her dream job interview." Posted at 11:58 p.m., 2 minutes before my birthday began. I set my phone down, my sandwich forgotten on the desk. My coworker glanced over, her brow furrowing. "You okay?" she asked. I forced a smile, nodding, but inside I was reeling. How could they forget me? How could they throw a party for Belle using my money and not even mention my birthday? I thought of the times I'd shown up for them, sending cash, fixing things, keeping quiet when Belle took center stage. The house, the family, the love, it all felt like it belonged to her now. I took a deep breath and picked up my phone again. No new messages. Just the same 3 from earlier. Maybe they'd call tonight. Maybe they'd realize. But deep down I knew better. I turned back to my work, the screen blurring as I blinked hard. It's just a birthday, I told myself. But it wasn't just that, it was everything. I forced a smile and slipped away to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face to steady my racing heart. It wasn't just that they forgot my 28th birthday. They chose to throw a grand party for Belle the night before. For a job interview, not even a job. Last year, I poured my energy into planning Belle's 25th birthday, coordinating with relatives, scraping together money for her dream weekend in Nashville. I returned to my desk, moving through tasks like a machine, my mind stuck on those Facebook photos. My boss stopped by with a cupcake and a card signed by the team. I thanked her, my voice catching at the kindness that hit harder than she could know. That evening, I grabbed Thai food on my way home, a small birthday gift to myself. My apartment greeted me with silence, no different from when I left. No surprise visitors, no cards in the mailbox, just the hum of the fridge. I ate my pad thai straight from the carton, scrolling through those photos again, each one a fresh jab to the chest. That 3-tier cake? Easily $200 from the bakery Mom always deemed too pricey for me. The jewelry box was from the high-end store at the mall, probably holding those diamond earrings Belle flaunted. The champagne was Dad's fancy reserve, saved for special occasions. In one shot, I spotted a gift bag from the tech store, a laptop box peeking out. The exact model I'd been saving for, researching for months, waiting for a bonus to make it mine. I pushed my food aside, no longer hungry. This wasn't a mistake or a lapse. It was deliberate, a choice to lift Belle up while leaving me in the shadows. Tomorrow they'd probably remember me. A few belated texts would trickle in, maybe a half-hearted call from Mom, offering lunch next weekend, if Belle didn't need her first. Dad might send his usual gift card with a generic, "Happy birthday" note. They'd expect me to smile, say thanks, and act like their afterthoughts were enough. For years I'd done just that. Nodded, helped, sent money, fixed things, stayed quiet while Belle soaked up the spotlight. But sitting alone on my 28th birthday, I felt something snap. I was done accepting their crumbs. I stared at my phone, drafting comments for nearly 20 minutes, each one a battle between anger and restraint. The furious ones felt too raw, exposing a wound I'd buried for years. The snarky ones seemed childish, unworthy of the hurt I carried. The honest ones, admitting how much this stung, felt too vulnerable, like I'd be handing them another way to dismiss me. Finally I settled on, nice cake. Short, neutral, hiding the storm inside me. I hit send and vowed not to check for replies. 5 minutes later I was refreshing the page, heart pounding. Aunt Judith commented first, "It was delicious. Belle deserves the best." My cousin followed, "Missed you, but it was a perfect night for perfect Belle." No mention of my birthday. No question about why I wasn't there. The hurt was sharp but familiar. Then Mom's comment landed like a sledgehammer. "At least someone is worth baking for." I read those 6 words again and again, each one a cold confirmation of what I'd always sensed. To her, I wasn't worth the effort, the celebration, or the love she showered on Belle. The comments kept rolling in, each one a twist of the knife. My uncle tossed in a laughing emoji as if it were all a joke. A family friend I hadn't seen in years gushed, "Your sister is such a star." Another cousin tagged Belle, asking when she'd hear about the job. Then Belle herself replied to my comment, "Sorry sis, guess Mom loves me more. Maybe next year you'll have something worth celebrating too." Her words hit like a slap, the pull, a cruel flourish. As if my life, my degree, my steady job, my years of quietly supporting her, was nothing. As if sending her money, fixing Mom's house, and planning her parties didn't count. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling with everything I wanted to say but couldn't. I've always swallowed the hurt, made excuses for their actions, and forced a laugh to keep things calm. Not today. I typed, "Enjoy it while you can." 4 words. Short, sharp, and heavy with meaning only I fully grasped. My family would probably brush it off as a petty jab from their jealous sister. My phone buzzed minutes later. It was Amber, my cousin, the one who'd shared the party photos online. She had a knack for sensing when something wasn't right. "Hey Sarah, happy birthday," she said, her voice warm and genuine. "You remembered?" I replied, unable to hide my shock. "Of course I did. But, about last night, I'm so sorry you weren't there." "Why was there even a party?" I asked, my tone sharper than I meant. Amber hesitated. "Your mom said Belle needed a confidence boost before her big interview. She wanted us to show her how much the family's got her back." Another pause hung between us. "I did ask about you," she added. "Your mom said you were swamped with work, too busy for family stuff lately." The lie stung like a fresh cut. I hadn't been invited to a single family gathering in months, even though I'd asked over and over when we'd all get together. "I sent money for that party," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Dad told me it was a special surprise for Mom's birthday next month." "Sarah, oh my gosh," Amber said, her voice breaking. "I had no idea. That's so messed up." After we hung up, a text from Dad popped up. "Happy birthday, kiddo. Too busy to call today. Taking Belle shopping for interview clothes. Dinner soon, okay?" No mention of the party. No hint he'd been in town and hadn't bothered to reach out. Just another hollow promise of soon that I knew would never happen. I set my phone face down on the coffee table and let the tears come. Not soft, delicate ones, but raw, body-shaking sobs that had been building for 28 years. I cried for the little girl whose birthday money went straight to her sister's dance classes. For the teenager who celebrated her wins alone with no one to cheer her on. For the adult who kept giving to a family that took and took, offering nothing in return. When the tears finally stopped, I felt hollow but strangely clear, like a fever had broken. Memories flooded in, sharp and vivid. Family gatherings where Mom would publicly compare us. "Why can't you be more like Belle?" Christmas dinner when I opened up about work stress. "Well, Belle's just more fun to be around." The family beach day I wasn't invited to. "Your sister needs more support than you do." Every time I questioned the unfairness, I got the same tired excuse. I'd spent my life accepting it, internalizing that Belle's needs would always come first. My role was to give, to understand, to forgive, to be the responsible one who didn't need attention or care. I grabbed my phone and reread Mom's text. "At least someone is worth baking for." Those 6 words burned. Something inside me hardened like steel forging in fire. I was done being the understanding one. Done being the giver who got nothing back. Done being invisible. Enjoy it while you can. It wasn't just a comment anymore. It was my promise to myself. Sitting cross-legged on my couch, surrounded by the scraps of my solo birthday dinner, I opened my laptop. I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd been keeping for years, tracking every dollar I'd sent to Belle. Every bill I'd covered. Every loan that was never mentioned again. 2 years of rent supplements when she said she was struggling. 6 months of utilities after her roommate suddenly moved out. 3 car payments when she claimed she might lose her vehicle. The full security deposit for her current apartment, which I'd paid without a second thought. The total hit me like a punch. $17,842 over 3 years. Money that could have cleared my student loans months ago. Money that could have been a down payment on a condo, not this cramped rented apartment. Money swallowed whole by Belle's irresponsibility while she stayed the family's shining star. I leaned back, staring at the numbers. For the first time I saw it clearly. I'd been enabling a cycle that left me drained and unseen. But no more. I wasn't just angry, I was awake. This wasn't about jealousy or bitterness. It was about choosing myself, maybe for the first time ever. I closed the laptop and took a deep breath. The road ahead felt uncertain, but one thing was clear. I was done living in Belle's shadow. I usually brushed off the pain, made excuses for their actions, and faked a smile to keep things peaceful. Not today. I typed, "Enjoy it while you can." 4 words. Short, vague, but loaded with meaning only I understood. My family would likely see it as a bitter jab from a jealous sister. My phone rang minutes later. It was Amber, my cousin, who'd posted the party photos. She always seemed to notice when something was wrong. "Hey Sarah, happy birthday," she said warmly. "You remembered?" I asked, my voice catching with surprise. "Of course. But I'm sorry you weren't at the party last night." "Why was there even a party?" I pressed, my tone sharp. Amber paused. "Your mom said Belle needed a pick-me-up before her big interview. She wanted us to show her the family's support." Another pause. "I asked about you. Your mom said you were too busy with work for family events." The lie hit like a slap. I hadn't been invited to a family gathering in months, even though I kept asking when we'd get together. "I sent money for that party," I said softly. "Dad told me it was a surprise for Mom's birthday next month." "Sarah, oh no," Amber said, her voice heavy. "I didn't know. That's so wrong." After we hung up, a text from Dad popped up. "Happy birthday, kiddo. Can't call today, taking Belle shopping for interview clothes. Dinner soon." No word about the party. No hint he'd been in town and hadn't reached out. Just another empty soon that would never happen. I set my phone down and let the tears come. Not gentle ones, but raw, gut-wrenching sobs, 28 years in the making. I cried for the girl whose birthday cash went to her sister's dance lessons. For the teen who celebrated wins alone with no one to cheer. For the adult who gave endlessly to a family that never gave back. When the tears dried, I felt empty but clear, like a storm had passed. Memories rushed in. Mom's jabs at family dinners. "Why can't you be more like Belle?" Christmas, when I mentioned work stress. "Belle's just more fun." The family beach day I wasn't invited to. "Your sister needs more support." Always the same excuse when I questioned the unfairness. I'd spent my life swallowing it, believing Belle's needs trumped mine. My job was to give, forgive, and stay unseen. I grabbed my phone and reread Mom's text. "At least someone is worth baking for." Those words burned. Something in me snapped into focus. I was done playing the good one. Done giving with no return. Done being invisible. Enjoy it while you can. It wasn't just a quip, it was my vow. On my couch, surrounded by the scraps of my solo birthday dinner, I opened my laptop. I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd kept for years. Every dollar to Belle. Every bill I'd paid. Every loan she never mentioned again. 2 years of rent help. 6 months of utilities when her roommate bailed. 3 car payments to save her vehicle. The full deposit for her current apartment. The total? $17,842 in 3 years. Money that could have cleared my student loans. Money for a down payment instead of this tiny rented place. Money lost to Belle's carelessness while she stayed the family's golden child. This was going to change everything. There would be anger, denial, guilt. They would call me selfish, jealous, even cruel. They would twist the story until I looked like the villain. But for the first time in my life, I didn't care. I pressed send. I shut my laptop and powered off my phone. Whatever storm was coming, it wouldn't touch me tonight. Tonight, I would rest knowing I had finally taken a stand. Tomorrow, I would wake up free from being the family doormat. As I got ready for bed, something surprising filled me, relief. The weight I had carried for years was gone, replaced with possibility. My 28th year would not look like the ones before it. It would be mine. Day 1. After sending those emails, the silence felt strange. I kept my phone off through the night and all through work the next day. Instead, I threw myself into a big presentation I had been preparing. My coworkers noticed my focus. "You seem different today," my boss said, impressed. And I was different. For once, my life wasn't consumed by Belle's problems. I felt lighter, clearer. That evening, I finally turned on my phone. It lit up instantly. 12 missed calls from my mother, 8 from Belle, 3 from my father, 37 texts, 15 emails. I ignored them all. I made dinner and watched a movie I had been putting off. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Day 2 brought more calls, more messages, each one more urgent. I set up my email to move all family notes into a separate folder. I would check them when I was ready. I blocked their numbers for now. I needed space. On day 3, a package showed up at my door. Flowers from my cousin Amber with a card that read, "Happy belated birthday. You deserve to be celebrated too." It was the first family birthday wish that had made me smile in years. Day 4 was when the storm truly began. Without my usual transfer, Belle now faced her full rent. Her first message came through a friend's phone. "What the hell, Sarah? The landlord called. You know I can't afford full rent. Whatever's going on with you, don't take it out on me. Fix this." I didn't reply. By day 6, my mother found another way. She left a voicemail through my apartment building's main line. "Sarah Marie Turner, this stops now. Your sister is crying. You've risked her housing over what? Birthday jealousy? I raised you better. Call me immediately." I saved the message but didn't call back. Day 8, my father finally stepped in. He sent an email with the subject line, "Let's talk about this rationally. Sarah, I know you're upset about the party. We should have been more thoughtful, but cutting Belle off without warning is extreme. She's always been more fragile than you. She needs our help. Your mother is worried sick. Call me so we can discuss a compromise." I wrote back briefly, "Dad, this isn't about a party. This is about years of imbalance. Belle has been unemployed for 3 months while pretending otherwise. She's misused the money I sent. At 25, she needs to face her choices. I won't enable her anymore." By day 10, the pressure doubled. Family members were now being used to reach me. Aunt Judith called my office, forcing me into an awkward talk with the receptionist about blocking personal calls. Uncle Pete emailed a long lecture about loyalty and family ties. Even my grandmother left a shaky voicemail, saying she was disappointed in me. Belle's texts grew desperate. "The landlord says I've got 5 days before eviction. Are you really going to let your sister end up homeless? What kind of person have you turned into?" That was Belle's first message. Sharp, short, and meant to cut. An hour later, another ping lit up my phone. "I am sorry about the Facebook comments, okay? It was just a joke. You always take things too seriously. Please just send the money this one last time. Then we can talk about reducing it gradually." Her words felt rehearsed, as if she had said the same thing to me 100 times before. In a way, she had. Different versions, same request. When those didn't work, her tone shifted like it always did. "Mom and Dad know everything now. How you spied on my emails. How you set me up to fail. Everyone sees how jealous you've always been. Good luck ever being welcome in this family again." Every line was a trap designed to pull me back in. And every word tested me. The old me would have caved. I would have apologized even when I had done nothing wrong, sent the money, and tried to smooth things over. I would have carried the guilt while Belle carried none. But the new me, this version of myself that was still fragile but growing, saw it clearly. It was manipulation. The same cycle, just dressed up in new words. On day 11, my mother sent her sharpest threat yet. "You have 24 hours to resume support and apologize, or you will face consequences. Do not test me, Sarah." That word, consequences, it had always scared me. For years, it kept me in line, doing everything I could to keep the family from turning on me. But now, reading it, I felt something different. Not fear. Clarity. Proof that I was finally doing the right thing. That same day, Belle's boyfriend Dylan, the one I had met only twice, sent a long, messy text. He blamed me for ruining Belle's happiness, for destroying her mental health, for being jealous of how much everyone loves her. I blocked him before I finished reading. Then I blocked a few others. Every block felt like carving out a little piece of peace for myself. I leaned into my own life. I threw myself into work, said yes to a dinner invite from colleagues, something I usually declined, and finally booked a consultation with a therapist. It was something I had thought about for years but never allowed myself to prioritize. The bright moment came when Amber called. "I saw your email with all the proof," she said. "I had no idea you'd been supporting Belle all this time." "No one did," I replied. "That was the point." Her voice softened. "Well, I think you're right. It's about time someone stood up to the Belle worship. And I'm sorry about your birthday. I should have realized something was wrong when Mom insisted you couldn't come." Her words mattered more than I could admit. It reminded me that maybe not everyone in my family was part of the same toxic pattern. Maybe someone understood. By day 12, I could feel the storm closing in. Belle's rent was officially late, and her landlord had started making calls. That afternoon at exactly 2:17, the call came. I was in a meeting when Belle's name flashed across my phone. I declined it. 2 minutes later, it rang again. And again. By the fifth call, my boss gave me a subtle nod as if to say, "Go ahead, take it." I stepped into the hallway and answered. "What, Belle?" Her scream was so loud I had to hold the phone away. "The landlord just called. He's starting eviction. Fix this right now." "I can't fix this, Belle," I said, my voice steady, calm in a way that surprised me. "This is the result of your choices." "My choices?" "You cut me off without warning. You ruined my life because you're jealous over a party. You lied about working for months," I said. "You misused the money I sent. Those were your choices. So what? You make enough. You don't even have a life. What else would you use it for?" Her words hit hard like they always did. But this time they didn't crush me. "Goodbye, Belle," I said. "I suggest you start packing or find a way to pay your rent." She screamed as I hung up, but I didn't let it stick. I walked back into my meeting and sat down, my heartbeat steady. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed nonstop. The family group chat, usually quiet except for Belle's updates, had exploded. "Mom, Sarah, pick up your phone right now. Dad, this has gone too far. Call your sister. Aunt Judith, I can't believe you do this to your own family. Grandma, Sarah, I raised you better than this. Please don't turn your back on your sister. Cousin Daniel, this is between you and Belle. Don't drag the whole family into it." Message after message. All of them pulling at me, pressing me to step back into my old role. The fixer, the peacemaker, the bank. But I didn't answer. I set my phone face down on my desk. For once, I wasn't being pulled into their storm. That night, I walked home under the city lights. My mind was quiet for the first time in years. No constant buzzing, no endless guilt. Just me. For so long, I thought cutting the cord would break me. But instead, it was setting me free. Day 13 began with silence. The calls had slowed. The texts were fewer. I think they were beginning to understand. I wasn't bending this time. At lunch, I laughed with coworkers, something I hadn't done in ages. My laughter felt real, light, almost unfamiliar. On the way back, I caught my reflection in an office window. My smile looked different. More like me than I had seen in years. That evening, Amber called again. "They're still talking, you know," she said. "But honestly, I think some of them are realizing you're serious. You're not backing down." "I can't," I told her. "If I give in now, it'll all start again." "You're stronger than they ever gave you credit for," she said softly. After we hung up, I sat by my window with a cup of tea. The city hummed below. For once, my world felt calm. I wasn't the villain they painted me to be. I was simply the one who finally chose myself. And as I closed my eyes that night, I knew this much for certain. This wasn't the end of the storm. But it was the beginning of my freedom. "Uncle Pete, your grandfather would be ashamed." And on it went, a chorus of anger and blame. I muted the chat and stared at the screen for a long moment, my reflection ghost-like against the glass. Their words should have cut deep. For years they always did. But now they sounded almost predictable, like a script I had heard 1,000 times before. I turned back to my work, fingers steady on the keyboard. This time I wasn't breaking. At 4:30 my extension rang. "Sarah, your mother is in the lobby," the receptionist whispered. "She looks upset. Security wants to know if they should escort her out." My chest tightened. "My mother here?" In my workplace. That line she always swore she wouldn't cross, she had crossed it. But instead of panicking, I steadied my breath. Tell them I'll be right down, I said. The lobby's fluorescent lights buzzed faintly as I stepped off the elevator. And there she was, pacing, her arms folded tight, her face flushed a furious red. The second she spotted me, she stopped, turned sharply, and pointed at me with a trembling hand. How dare you humiliate this family like that? The guard glanced at me, waiting for a cue. I gave him a calm smile. It's okay, Frank. He's my mother. We'll step outside. Outside, the city air was brisk. People rushed past, barely noticing the standoff unfolding on the sidewalk. Mom, I began evenly, I'm at work. This isn't appropriate. Inappropriate. Her voice was high, sharp. You know what's inappropriate? Sending private money matters to the entire family. Making your sister look bad so you can feel important. She could lose her apartment. Her words, like darts, landed with familiar sting. But I held my ground. Mom, I said, keeping my tone level, Belle lost her job 3 months ago. She's been lying. She was waiting for the right time to tell us, she snapped. She didn't want us to worry. She had no issue worrying me when she wanted money, I answered. She had no issue mocking me while taking my help. That was teasing. You've always been too sensitive. A coworker passed by, giving us a curious glance. I forced a steady smile, though my stomach twisted. I can't do this here, I said quietly. If you want to talk civilly, we can plan a time. Oh, now you want to talk? Mom's voice rose again. Your sister is having a panic attack. Your father left work early. All because you couldn't handle not being the center of attention. The irony almost made me laugh. I tilted my head slightly. Mom, when have I ever been the center of attention in this family? Her lips tightened. She brushed the question aside like a fly. You're coming with me now, she ordered. You'll apologize to Belle and restart the payments. No, I'm not. That refusal stunned her more than anything else. Her mouth dropped slightly. Excuse me. I said no. I'm going back to work. I suggest you leave before security steps in. I turned, but she gripped my arm hard, her nails biting into my sleeve. If you walk away from this family now, don't expect to be welcomed back. I looked down at her hand, then at her eyes. That sounds like a threat, Mom. It's not a threat, she said, her voice cold. It's reality. Family stands by family. Funny, I replied, gently easing her hand away. I've stood by this family for years. Financially, emotionally. Where was that motto on my birthday? Her eyes darted away. No reply. I walked back into the building, nodding at Frank as I passed. My hands shook, but my resolve didn't. That evening, the true confrontation came. I had just sat down with dinner, the warmth of my food rising in quiet steam when the bell rang. Through the peephole, I saw them, Belle, Mom, and Dad, clustered together in the hall. For a moment, I thought of ignoring it, pretending I wasn't home. But the part of me that had avoided conflict for years was gone. I decided to face them. I opened the door, blocking the entry with my body. Yes. Belle shoved forward immediately, her voice sharp, desperate. You have to fix this. The landlord says I've got 3 days to pay or move out. Then you'd better start packing, I said. My voice surprised me, it was steady, almost calm. Dad stepped in, ever the peacemaker. His voice was soft, almost pleading. Sarah, please. Let us in and talk this through calmly. I hesitated, then moved aside. If this was going to happen, better it happen on my terms. They entered. Belle flopping dramatically on the couch, Mom perching stiffly on a chair, Dad hovering awkwardly near the window. Nice place, Dad said, glancing around. I don't think I've been here since you moved in. 2 years ago, I answered flatly. Silence stretched. I didn't offer drinks. I didn't ask about their day. Finally, Mom broke it. Sarah, this grudge against your sister has gone too far. You've made your point. Now be the bigger person and help. This isn't a grudge, I said. This is me ending a pattern that's been unhealthy for years. Belle cut in, her voice rising, tears brimming. By making your sister homeless, she wailed. I shook my head slowly. No, Belle. By making you responsible for yourself. You're 25. It's time. Mom leaned forward, voice sharp, almost a hiss. She's fragile, Sarah. She needs support. You know this. I know she's been lying, I said evenly. And I know I've been carrying a weight that was never mine to carry. Dad lifted his hands, his voice gentle. Let's not fight. Sarah, maybe we can find a middle ground. A smaller amount each month? Just until she's steady again. I shook my head firmly. There's no middle ground when the problem is enabling. I'm done funding lies. Belle sat up, tears streaking her face. You don't care if I end up on the street. You want me to fail. I met her eyes directly. No, I want you to stand. On your own. The silence that followed was heavier than anything I'd ever felt. Mom's glare burned into me, Dad's shoulders slumped with defeat, Belle sniffled dramatically. But I didn't move. Finally I stood. I think this conversation is over. You should go. Mom rose slowly, her voice icy. If you close this door on us tonight, don't expect us to open ours for you again. I opened the door wider. Then I guess this is goodbye for now. They filed out, Belle muttering under her breath, Mom refusing to look at me, Dad giving me one last pleading glance that nearly cracked me. Nearly. When the door clicked shut, I leaned against it, my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. For years I had dreamed of standing my ground. Tonight I finally had. And even though my hands still trembled, one truth was clear. I was no longer the family doormat. This was the start of something new. The start of me. You wouldn't be facing eviction if you had been honest about losing your job and talked to your landlord, I said. Or if you had used the money I sent for what it was meant for instead of spending it elsewhere. I had expenses, Belle argued, her voice sharp, almost defiant. Like what? The designer bag you showed online last month? Or that Miami weekend with Dylan? My father looked lost, his forehead wrinkling with confusion. Belle, you told us you still had your job. When did you lose it? Belle glared at me. It's complicated, Dad. First they cut my hours, then they let me go. But I've been interviewing for months. I asked, any results? The job market is hard right now, she snapped. Harder when you were fired for showing up late and having a poor attitude, I added, pulling up the email on my phone. Want me to read it to everyone? My mother's eyes flared and she stepped in quickly. Stop attacking your sister. Sarah, you've always been jealous of Belle. Always trying to make her look bad so you can look good. Mom, I said quietly, almost pleading. I've been paying 40% of her rent for 2 years. I've covered her utilities when she said she couldn't pay. I sent money for her car, her medical bills, and her endless emergencies. And you and Dad still celebrated her while ignoring me, even throwing her a surprise party the night before my birthday with money I gave you. My father's shoulders slumped. We didn't realize it was your birthday. I stared at him, feeling my chest tighten. You forgot your own daughter's birthday? His face dropped in shame. Things have been hectic. They're only hectic when it's me, I said. Never too hectic for Belle. That's because Belle needs us more, my mother said firmly. You've always been independent, always managing on your own. Because I had to, I replied, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. No one else was going to do it for me. Belle crossed her arms. So this is punishment? You're punishing me because Mom and Dad love me more. The room went still. Her careless words had exposed the truth, cutting through years of excuses. This isn't punishment, I said softly. This is me finally choosing myself. I won't keep supporting someone who takes without thanks, mocks me publicly, and lies about her situation. My mother's jaw tightened. What do you want then? An apology? Fine, we're sorry about your birthday, sorry about the party. But your reaction is far too much. I don't want an apology, I said, shaking my head. I want change. I want this family to see the pattern we've lived with for decades. I want Belle to take responsibility for her own life. And I want to focus on mine. By leaving your sister homeless? My father asked, his voice trembling. Belle has choices, I pointed out. She can get a job, any job, just to cover rent. She can share with a roommate. She can move back home. She can downsize. All of those sound awful, Belle cried. Welcome to adult life, I said. The same life I've been living while covering your extended childhood. My mother stood up sharply, her authority filling the room. This is pointless. Here's what will happen. You'll resume paying her rent until she finds steady work. In return, we'll try to acknowledge you more. Her tone was the final straw. No, I said firmly. Here's what's going to happen. I'm done paying for Belle. And as it happens, My own life is about to change. 3 sets of eyes turned to me, startled. What do you mean? My father asked. I've been offered a position in our Chicago office, I said. A big promotion with relocation included. I've already accepted. Chicago, my mother repeated, her voice cracking. You can't move to Chicago. Who will help us here? That's exactly the point, I said. The silence that followed was suffocating. Belle's mouth hung open in disbelief, my mother's face flushed with panic, and my father looked like a man who'd just realized his grip on the family had finally slipped. That night I packed. Not just my bags, but the years of resentment, the small wounds that had piled up until they formed scars I could no longer ignore. For once, my future wasn't about saving Belle, fixing Mom's guilt, or making Dad proud. It was about me. 6 months later, life looked completely different. Chicago wasn't just a city to me anymore. It was freedom, a new chapter that finally belonged to me. The job was challenging but exhilarating, and for the first time in years I woke up with excitement instead of exhaustion. My apartment overlooked the river, and on weekends I'd explore little coffee shops, bookstores, and neighborhoods that felt alive in ways my old town never had. I hadn't spoken much to my family since leaving. Calls from my mother usually ended in guilt trips, and texts from Belle were long rants about how selfish I was. Eventually I stopped replying. My father reached out a few times, quieter than before, but even his words carried the weight of someone too used to peacekeeping to ever choose a side. Then one evening, as the city lights glittered against the dark sky, Amber called. She was the only sibling who stayed neutral through it all, though even she admitted Mom had always coddled Belle. You won't believe this, Amber said. Belle's back home. She couldn't keep up rent after you stopped helping. Dylan left her too. She's working part-time at a diner now. I leaned against my balcony railing, the night air cool on my skin. So she's surviving? Barely. Mom still blames you. Dad just looks tired all the time. A strange mix of emotions swirled in me. Sadness, relief, even a flicker of guilt. But stronger than all of that was the certainty that I had done the right thing. Amber, I said quietly. Do you think they'll ever see it clearly? She sighed. Maybe. But maybe not. You can't wait for them to change, Sarah. You have to live your life. Her words settled into me like truth I already knew. And so I did. Chicago became more than just an escape. It became a home, a place where I could breathe without carrying someone else's burdens. Some nights I still thought of Belle, of my mother's sharp tone, of my father's disappointment. But the difference now was that those memories no longer defined me. I wasn't the forgotten daughter anymore. I wasn't the bank account, the backup plan, the shadow behind Belle's spotlight. I was me. And for the first time that was enough. I was never seen as a daughter or sister in my family. To them I was a resource, a backup plan, a safety net. But that safety net was being folded up and put away. You would really abandon your family? Belle asked, tears rolling down her face. After everything we have done for you? The question was so absurd I laughed. What exactly have any of you done for me, Belle? Name one thing. She opened her mouth, then shut it again, looking toward our parents for help. My father cleared his throat. Sarah, I understand you are hurt. Maybe we have overlooked certain things. But cutting off your sister and moving across the country seems extreme. It's not extreme, I said. It's healthy. It's necessary for all of us. If you do this, my mother said, her voice sharp with anger, do not expect our support. I have never had your support, I replied. That's the point. The truth lingered in the air. My mother grabbed her purse, ending the conversation. Come on, Belle. We'll figure this out ourselves as always. Belle stood, mascara streaking down her cheeks. For a second I saw something beyond her tears, fear. Real fear of facing life without me as her safety net. Ally, she said, using my old nickname. I can't lose my apartment. Please, I'll do better. I'll get a job tomorrow. I'll pay you back everything. I've heard those promises before, I said gently. But this time you'll need to prove it with actions, not words. You're really not going to help me? She whispered. I am helping you, I said. Just not in the way you want. My father lingered as my mother stormed out, Belle trailing behind. Sarah, he said quietly, I never realized all you've done for your sister. No one did, I replied. That's how Belle wanted it. He nodded slowly. The party, that was poorly timed. I should have remembered your birthday. Yes, I said. You should have. Chicago, huh? He asked after a pause. That's a big move. A necessary one. He hesitated, then admitted, I haven't been a good father to you, have I? The simple truth brought tears to my eyes. No, I said honestly. You haven't. He nodded, not arguing. I'm sorry for that. Truly. As he left, he turned back once more. When do you leave for Chicago? 3 weeks, I said. Maybe we could have lunch before then. Just the two of us. I didn't agree, but I didn't refuse either. I'll think about it. When they were gone, I sat in silence. For the first time, I had stood my ground against my family's expectations. I had spoken my truth and held firm. My phone buzzed with a text from Belle. I hate you for doing this to me. 5 minutes later, another message came. I don't know how to do this without you. That second one was the most honest thing she had said in years. It was her first step toward growing up. It was painful but necessary. I didn't reply. Some journeys have to be walked alone. 6 months later, I stood at the window of my Chicago apartment. Snow fell over the skyline, the view still taking my breath away. A constant reminder of how much my life had changed since that birthday. The first weeks after the fight were hard. My phone never stopped buzzing, pleading, threatening, blaming. My mother even tried to rally the extended family, calling me the villain who abandoned her sister. Some believed her. Others reached out privately to say they understood. A few even admired me for breaking the cycle. Belle had faced eviction, but she wasn't homeless. At the last minute, she found a roommate, another retail worker. They moved into a smaller, less desirable apartment. According to Amber, who had become my main source for family news, Belle had found a job at a fast food place and was actually showing up every day. My mother still barely spoke to me. Our conversations were short and only during holidays. I had invited her to Chicago for Thanksgiving, but she replied, too busy taking care of the family members who still care. My father, surprisingly, tried harder. We had that lunch before I moved, awkward but honest. He admitted he had favored Belle for years. She was louder about her needs, he said. And you always seemed capable. We took that for granted. It wasn't a full apology, but it was something. He had even visited Chicago twice, making an effort to know me as I am now, not the daughter he once ignored. Our relationship was fragile but healing. In Chicago, I started therapy with Dr. Winters, who specialized in family issues. Our weekly talks helped me process years of being the responsible one, the backup plan, the family bank. What you did wasn't just standing up for yourself, she told me once. It was refusing to feed a dynamic that hurt everyone, including Belle. Her words eased the guilt that still hit me sometimes. I hadn't ruined Belle's life by stepping back. I had given her space to take control of it. Work thrived too. My promotion brought challenges I actually enjoyed. I built friendships with colleagues who knew me only as I am now, not as the overlooked sister. The doorbell rang, pulling me from my thoughts. Amber was here for the weekend. We had grown closer since the fallout, finding the sisterhood we both had missed. This view is unreal, she said at the window. Best decision ever moving here. Most days I agree, I smiled. Heard from the family? She asked, settling on the couch. Dad called yesterday. Said he might come for Christmas. And Belle? I hesitated. She emailed me last week. First direct message in months. Amber raised her brows. It was different. No demands, no blame. She said she's been working full-time for 4 months. She's also taking an online course in bookkeeping. Wow. Actual adulting. Apparently, I said. She even admitted she used me for years. Not a full apology, but progress, Amber finished. Later that night, after dinner with Amber and some friends, I sat down to reply. I had been weighing it for days. I wrote, Brielle, thank you for your email. I'm glad you're working and studying. Those are good steps. We can't change the past, but I'm open to building a healthier relationship based on mutual respect, not dependency. Take care, Sarah. Clear boundaries. Open door. It felt right. As I pressed send, I realized how much I had changed. The old me would have run back at the first sign of peace. The new me knew real change takes time, effort, and boundaries. I had learned something big. Family relationships need balance. Love without respect isn't love. Sometimes the most caring act is stepping aside and letting others face their choices. Most importantly, I learned I deserve to be valued. Not for what I give, but for who I am. My 29th birthday was coming up. For the first time, I was planning my own celebration, surrounded by people who truly saw me. The journey hadn't been easy, but it was necessary. A family dynamic broken for decades couldn't be fixed overnight. Maybe never fully. But I found peace in carving my own path, putting my well-being first. The snow outside my window fell soft and steady. I thought about how sometimes you must leave the familiar to discover what's possible. How breaking patterns is scary but freeing. How healing starts not with forgiveness, but with valuing yourself enough to say no more. I was still learning, still adjusting, but for the first time I was doing it on my own terms. Free from being the forgotten daughter, the reliable sister, the family bank. And that was worth celebrating. Have you ever had to choose yourself over family expectations? Share your story in the comments. If this connected with you, like this video and subscribe for more about boundaries and self-worth. Remember, sometimes the bravest choice is putting yourself first. Thank you for listening. And never forget, your story matters even when others try to write you out of it.